Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Johanna and welcome to my cozy book space. So for today's video, we're going to be starting a weekly vlog. This is mostly going to be the week of me reading my January TBR. I'm trying to read as much of my January TBR as possible in this last week of January. Did I say the last week of January? Yeah. So basically the whole month of January was me reading Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Ankh Storm. So with that being said, that's why we're taking the last week of January and trying to read my entire January TBR. But if you guys want to see what books I end up reading for my January TBR or what is on my January TBR, the video is up on my channel. I will link it up in the cards for you guys. So check that out. But I'm not going to say what books I'm going to read because I'm kind of just going to go with the flow for this week and just like pick the books that I'm able to pick from my January TBR. So it's all going to be like a little bit of a surprise for y'all. So with that being said, if you guys want to see me read my January TBR, then go ahead and keep on watching. Hi guys, welcome back to me trying to read my January TBR. The first book we ended up picking up for this reading vlog is When She Unravels by Gabrielle Sands. I did end up reading this book on my Kindle. It is on Kindle Unlimited, but she was on my physical TBR. I have this dark and quirky special edition copy. She's absolutely stunning, gorgeous with the gold foiling, the Starry Night sprayed edges, the back. It is beautiful to say the least, but because it was on Kindle Unlimited, I obviously read it on my Kindle. So this is a mafia romance. We have our heroine Valentina. Valentina is from the mafia. I can't remember what specific mafia she's from, but she ends up getting arranged marriage to the enforcer of her family's domain, if you will. She knew that this is what she was essentially bred for, and her mother is very cold and teaches her how to be a mafia princess. She enters this marriage and it's not anything that she thought it was going to be. It's actually worse. When we find out what her enforcer husband makes her do, it's absolutely crazy. There is this one young girl in her, I think she's around 18, 19. She ends up getting kidnapped by her husband for the mafia as a deal from a different mafia. She is captured for revenge, and because she is forced to essentially torture this girl, Valentina ends up actually saving her instead. And in this moment, they essentially both end up running away together, and Valentina ends up running away to Ibiza. In Ibiza, we have our hero Damiano. He is also in the mafia, but he's kind of like on the side. He is basically the king of Ibiza. He runs Ibiza and everything that is there, the drugs, the clubs, the restaurants. He is that man there. And Valentina runs away with essentially nothing, just some money that she ended up stealing, and she's trying to make a life for herself, but also while being hidden. She doesn't even know if her husband is still alive, and she doesn't know anything about this teenage girl either. They get on the same flight, but they don't know each other. Valentina goes her separate ways, and she just hopes for the best for this girl. She ends up applying for a job at this club that of course Damiano owns. This is where they meet. She is definitely perceived by Damiano as being like a princess, that she doesn't know what hard work is, etc. And it's true, but I love our heroine Valentina because she gives as good as she gets. She is not no damsel in distress. She really is tough on the inside and on the outside. She's been through a lot, and I love how that mental aspect and her inner turmoil is portrayed in this book. But I also love her attitude and how she is not a damsel in distress, and how she literally stands up to our hero whenever she can, and our hero ends up absolutely loving that from our heroine. Damiano is also struggling with whether he wants to become the Don and take his rightful place, or if he just kind of want to continue being in the background and keeping his sister safe. Yeah, we have all of those things. We of course have the romance and the plot. I was just thoroughly entertained by this mafia story. The spice was amazing to say the least. The quotes in here were iconic, so good that I posted one on my bookstagram. Definitely want to continue in this series. I really loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. But with that being said, I'm not going to be keeping my physical copy of this book. I just don't think that I need a physical copy of this book. I don't see myself really rereading it. It's also a hardcover and it's just a beautiful special edition. And I know that there's someone out there that would absolutely love this more than I do. Again, I did love the book. I just don't see myself rereading this book. Do I see myself continuing in this series? Absolutely. I'm so intrigued for the next book. But again, they are on Kindle Unlimited, so I can just read them on there. And I don't need this book, so I am going to be unhauling it, even though I read it. I do recommend if you want some mafia romance. So happy that we read a book that was on my physical TBR. So I do have a plan of what I'm going to be reading next. I actually ended up getting Hooked by Helena Hunting on audiobook from my Audible. That is also a book that was chosen for my January TBR. I'm going to end up listening to that and most likely finishing it tomorrow. This reading vlog is definitely dragging into February, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is because I was stuck reading the Fourth Wing series for a different reading vlog, and I will leave that linked up above in the cards or down below in the description box for you guys to check that out because that video should be up before this one. But I still wanted to read my physical TBR, so that's what we're doing. It's going to be episode 1 of Read It or Unhaul It. Sometimes we read it and we still unhaul it. So I will be back when I have a reading update for that book. So I'm on chapter 13 of Hooked by Helena Hunting, and I already had some thoughts when I first started listening to this audiobook, but at this point, y'all, I really want to DNF it. I only have 2 hours left because I've been listening to it in 2 times speed, but this might just be like the worst book that I've ever read. There's just like specific things that we'll go over when I get home. I have to actually clock in for work, and I just need to do a little bit of update because I want to DNF it so bad, but like I only have 2 hours left. I might as well. We'll go into the details when I get home after I'm off work. It's I just can't. I have no words. Hi friends. It's a long time later. I have been off work. It's actually 9:41 p.m. I have just been cooking dinner, meal prepping, filming, editing, posting. Okay. But I'm here with my Pucked update/review. So today at work did not go as planned. I thought I was just gonna be assisting, and then they ended up teaching me something. With the way that I listen to my audiobooks, it depends on what position and what I'm doing at work that helps me decide what I'm going to be listening to, etc. Like for today, I only had 2 hours left of Pucked, like how I had previously told you guys in the morning today, but because I was doing other things, it took me the entire day to listen to those 2 hours. With that being said, I did end up finishing the book and I gave it 2 stars. I did. This is, there's a lot of bad books out there, but this is probably in my top 5. This was just, let me just give you like I guess a little synopsis. So we have our main heroine. What's her name? I can't remember. We have our main heroine. She is an accountant. She is basically an accountant for athletes. She was in a previous relationship with a wannabe hockey player that ended badly for her. So she has like this stigma over hockey players, and she ends up going to a hockey game pressured by her eccentric mother because her brother actually also happens to be a hockey player and he's one of the good ones. Her stepfather happens to be like a recruiting agent or whatever. So she ends up going to this hockey game, and this is when she meets our hero Alex. Oh, her name is Violet. So Alex is a hockey player. He is the captain of the hockey team. He sees Violet. They have this very odd interaction, and then they have another very odd interaction at a bar, and they end up hooking up. The rest of the book is just them hooking up. If you are looking for a book that is just sex, then this is the one for you. But if you like weird sex, this might just be the one for you. If you like weird words being associated with genitalia, then this book is for you. This was so frustrating and so cringy and so bad. So bad. Like I wanted to DNF this so many times, but I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna finish it. And not because it was good. It was just honestly, I should have should have DNF'd it. I really should have, but it is what it is. So okay, I wrote down some things that I hated. Okay, so our heroine is weird. Okay, she's a weird girl, and not in the charming way. She's just plain weird. She says the most random things, is trying to be like a girl's girl, but also is not a girl's girl. We literally open up this book where she's masturbating and over a picture of some dude drinking milk. And then we have our hero who is literally obsessed with her boobs, like the boob squeezing, the bras. There's a line in here that the heroine literally says that that girl asked for it. There's like this part where it's like vagina smelling fingers. And then let's get to the more shitty things, okay? We basically have our heroine who the only thing that at this point she loves about this man is that he has a monster. He has a big down there, okay? And that is the entirety of the book. That is 50% of the book. It is mentioned in every other sentence. She might be thinking about something and then it has to magically correlate to him having a big dick, okay? And then we have the other 50% where we have our hero who is just obsessed with our heroine's boobs. She has the perfect boobs. Her boobs, her boobs, her boobs. It is so bad. It's like every other sentence with the boobs. He's having a runaway thought and it leads to her boobs. This is like 90% spice and it's not even like good spice, and it's just that spice that you're just tired of listening to. And then you have to go and make it weird. The heroine literally calls her vagina a beaver the entire time. Her beaver. If I don't have to hear the word beaver one more time in my life, I will be so happy. And then there's also a part in here where she dresses up his dick as a superhero. She also calls his dick the MC. What did I just read? What did I just read? Because if I could scrub this book from my mind, I would. It was that bad, you guys. I don't know why I ever heard anybody say that they liked this book, because this book is just plain weird. This book is, I don't know for what audience this is for. And I say that in the nicest way possible. If you love this book, I love that for you, but it is not for me, and it was a time. I think I said everything that I need to say. I feel like I didn't say enough, but I feel like I said enough at the same time, because otherwise I'll just be repeating myself about how horrible it was. So moving on, of course, this book is going to get unhauled. I literally gave it 2 stars. And the only reason it's not 1 star is because I read the book. So yeah, glad to have that book off my shelves. Now, for what we're going to be reading next. So tomorrow I'm actually officially training. So I am most likely 100% not going to be able to listen to a book, which is literally a bummer. I don't think I'm going to do any reading tomorrow, because after I'm off work, I have to come home really quick, get ready, and then I'm going to go see a movie with my mom and my sister. There's just no way that I'm going to do any reading. I mean, maybe tomorrow after the movies, I'll do some reading, but we'll see, because I might have to do some filming, editing, and posting. I will say I did start The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Yes, we did. So I did end up saying that this book is on Kindle Unlimited, and I was looking for another ebook to start since I had finished. What did I finish? I can't remember what I finished. Oh, When She Unravels. I was trying to choose an ebook. I saw that this book is on my January TBR and that is on Kindle Unlimited. I decided that this is the goodest time as any to start this book. On Wednesday, I'll have time to listen to an audiobook, and I'm in between basically 2 options. I'm either going to be listening to Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, or I'm going to be listening to Phantom by H.D. Carlton, and then we'll already be reading basically a big chunk of my January TBR in this reading vlog. So I think we're doing pretty great so far. Anyways, this is the longest reading update ever. I just really wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about Pucked and what I'm reading as an ebook and what my next read is. So with that being said, let me shut up. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm sitting here eating my sushi, watching YouTube, and my house is a mess. Everything is a mess. But I just hit 1K subscribers on my Cozy Book Space. I could literally cry. That's so crazy. Thank you to every single one of you. I know this might not even last, but it's so crazy to me because it's a number that I've been working towards like my whole life.
And it's just insane to me that I have 1,000 people who watch my videos and enjoy my videos. I'm just so grateful, and I literally noticed it right now. I was like, oh, like, let me check. And it was at 1K, and I was shook, and I was like, let me grab the camera because I needed to record this. I needed to record this. So I will be back with a little bit more of a coherent thought once I get ready for the day and film a couple updates and stuff. So thank you guys.
Hi, friends. I am here with a reading update. I am actually currently reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Yeah, finally. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, that's the book that I would be reading when I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. Okay. So I think I am literally like 46 to 50% of the way in, and I'm really, really loving this, especially the writing. This is the first book that I read by V.E. Schwab, and I do love and appreciate her writing. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. I will say this is kind of like a difficult book to describe, but we do have our main heroine who, of course, makes a deal with a god that we later find out is named Luke, or Luc, Luce. He basically grants her wish, but when she asks for this wish, she is definitely in a desperate moment of her life, and the way that she asks it is not necessarily the most coherent way. And so of course the god of shadows, the god of nights, always twist humans words into their benefit, and Addie really just is kind of trying to figure out how to live her life to the fullest potential. And also there's just this very big surrounding theme with like loneliness and like what your life means and what mark you want to leave and how marks are made and ideas and inspiration and all of those things. And I think it's a very thought out book. It's a very thought provoking, and it just has so many beautiful quotes. And I am reading this on Kindle Unlimited if you want to read it, and I've just been annotating left and right. And so yeah, Addie makes this deal, and we kind of see passive present early years where she's trying to figure out how this curse essentially works and how she is going to be able to survive. Then we fast forward into the present where she is basically kind of used to this curse now. She is just living life, and it's very, day by day, nothing extraordinary, if you will. She's definitely very much come to terms with her curse at present time. And we get just these heartbreakingly beautiful moments where she meets these people, and the way that these people forget her when they go through a different door, or they just like don't see her, and how she navigates that, and how heartbreaking it is when she literally was just with them like 2 seconds ago and now they just don't remember her. We get little stories like that in little pockets of time of her life, and she has been alive for like 300 years. She has these moments with different characters, and whether they're friendships or whether they're relationships, she has those. And then she has the relationship enemies to lovers, kind of. It is a very like hateful relationship that Addie has with Luce, because he is the only one that can't remember her, and so she pines for his attention and his time and his conversations, but he wants her soul, so he tortures her in the way that he doesn't give her those things. He's just trying to break her to get her soul. There is definitely a relationship here. We definitely have gotten some foreshadowing that they had like a moment together, and then everything before that we have gotten with them together is just so good. The banter is so good. Like the tension is there, and he is literally like in the image her like dream man, and it is so good. Like I'm eating it up, to be honest. Like I love that dynamic that they have. Yeah, we have moments of, shadow daddy, if you will, where he comes in and out of her life, usually on like her 1 year anniversaries, until he like stops doing that and just shows up whenever he wants. And the way that he handles her, like the hand behind the neck and like the cheek caressing, like I'd be eating it up. Okay, so fast forward to present time. Addie goes into this bookstore and she meets this boy named Henry, and he remembers her because she goes in the next day to return the book that she stole. She's like, oh, like a friend got me this and I want to return this to get another book. And he's like, are you serious right now? And she's like, yeah, like my friend. And he's like, no, like, are you serious right now? And she's like, yeah. And he was like, I remember you. And like, that whole iconic scene, crazy. Like, he remembers her. And I want to know why he remembers her. Like, what is so special about this man that he remembers her? But low key, my theory is that he himself has a curse. He himself asked for something and it backfired, because I feel like he definitely has some anxiety and he feels like he's running out of time and he gets very anxious and thinks himself like not capable of love. But there's like this weird dynamic that he has when he runs into anyone in the world. The people that he meets and interacts with, they immediately like grow this attachment to him. Like, they find a connection with him. And we do kind of get his POV. I think this is in third person. I'm pretty sure it's in third person. But when we are in his like POV, he doesn't like that. There is something there. Okay, there is something there. It's hard to explain. I feel like I'm not making any sense. And so, yeah, he ends up remembering Addie. And now Addie is like, I don't want to let this man out of my sight. And they definitely have this amazing banter, this amazing like connection. And like they go on dates and stuff. And like she's kind of waiting for the ball to drop. Or maybe Luce is playing mind games with her to make her break and finally give up her soul. There's a lot of tension, a lot of angst. I don't know how this is gonna like end slash wrap up, or how this is gonna go. I feel like this is gonna be so heartbreaking, low-key. I don't know if it's gonna make me cry, but I am scared. That is my update for now for the Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. But so far, I'm really, really loving it. It's sitting at a very high 4-star. Depending on how this ends and how this relationship goes, like, I love her with the god, Luce, and I love her with Henry also. And Henry, like, low-key kind of looks like maybe the more human version of Luce. Not gonna lie, he has glasses. He's cute. I love him. Yeah. Anyways, let me shut up now and I will talk to you guys in my next clip. P.S. I love you. Thank you for 1,000 on BookTube. I love this book community. It has been the absolute best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm just so glad that I got back into my reading journey. And books have really just filled this hole in my heart and have provided characters and friends and a found family and friends in you guys. And just the fact that I have 1,000 of you who watch my videos and love my videos is just, it means the world to me. So again, I'm so grateful and thankful and I love you guys. So anyways, enough with the yappiness, enough with the sappiness. I will see you guys in the next clip. Let's talk about this book. This book that I finished on my Kindle, sobbing my eyes out. I'm still not sure if I'm going to include the clip. Because I literally out of nowhere started sobbing my eyes out and I was like, I have to record this for the reading vlog, and I did, and it was painful. Okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna post it because, you know, ugly crying, ugly sobbing did happen at the end of this book. Now, I honestly didn't really gather my thoughts. I'm just gonna say what I feel. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I think this is like the first book of this year that has evoked so many emotions in me. The fact that it had me literally sobbing at the end of the night. Like, I literally sobbed before I fell asleep. I did wake up the next morning with like puffy eyes, and honestly, it was so worth it. Again, 5 stars. I can't give it any less. Writing was absolutely beautiful. This is my first book by V.E. Schwab, and it definitely will not be my last. The characters, I absolutely fell in love with Addie, and I fell in love with Luce, and I fell in love with Henry. I just fell in love with every single one of them. You guys, just thinking about this story and everything that happened, past and present, and the relationships formed, and the talk about life and time and love and friendships and not being good enough. And Henry's story was so heartbreaking that it literally broke my heart. I was just thinking about it, I just might cry again. Okay, so let's not. And then like everything that Addie went through and like her perseverance to live for so long, and how that transitioned into like her whole entire life, how she was feeling at the beginning, how she was feeling in the middle, and how she was feeling at the end. Luce's part in all of that, and how he hated her at the beginning and he slowly falls in love with her and he only wants her for himself. And there are little snippets that you can see that he is feeling emotion, and he is a god, he's a monster of the night, if you will. He is not human, and he continues to make deals, and Addie sees this side of him, and there's definitely miscommunication between them. There's no trust between them, which I think that's why their relationship didn't work. It was tough. It was tough because I don't want to say it's a love triangle, but you have a relationship in present time, and then you have Luce and Addie's relationship in the past. You guys, I still don't know which one I would have preferred Addie to be with. Like, my heart kind of leans towards no, I can't choose. I can't choose. I really can't. I can't. Because Henry deserves everything and more. He deserves literally the world. Luce, he's just, the villain of every story. He is just he is the villain, but he also deserves love as well. And it's just a shitty hand that they were all three dealt. That's all I'm saying. And it was so good. And this is why I've been putting this book off for so long. So now you guys can give me a round of applause for finally reading this book. And yes, it's an all-time fave now. And I am not guilty about having 3 copies of this book. And I will have more copies of this book because I've seen special editions of this book and I need my hands on them. I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry. This book is definitely not one that I will be unhauling, and I'm so glad to have gotten it off of my TBR. But with that being said, 5 stars. But the ending, I want more. Like, what was that ending? The way that Addie just flipped that shit on Luce, but like without Luce knowing, because he thinks that he got everything that he wanted. But the fact that Addie didn't get any of them, like she didn't get the love that she wanted. I mean, I guess she did, but was it really love? And what is this relationship that she has with Luce? And then how is it gonna end? What? I just need more. Like, there needs to be book 2. Like, this was so good. Like, I kind of want to reread it already. And I will definitely be rereading this. And I probably end up rereading it like through audio, because I was originally going to read this on audio, but then I decided to actually read it on my Kindle since it is on Kindle Unlimited. There's just so many scenes in here, like the museum scene, all the dates that Henry and Addie went on, and the I Remember You. It hits so much different now. All the memories with Luce too when they dance. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this book. Like, it's 5 stars, but like I'm conflicted as well because I'm a romance girly at heart. So was there really an HEA in this? No. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that there was no HEA, but I don't think that was like the overall message of this book. I think the overall message was just be present, enjoy every single second of life. And, so many more like bigger messages that I can't even like comprehend right now. Just reading this will give you those things. And I took a lot from this book, and I learned a lot from this book, and I felt so much with this book, and I can't recommend it enough. Probably the whole world has read this, but if you haven't, stop putting it off because it is a great book. It is a great book. You're going to love it. You'll probably sob your eyes out, and I recommend it. I say yes. Read it right now. If this has been a veteran on your TBR, I say no more. Pick this up immediately. I absolutely loved it. And with that being said, I think that this is going to be the last book that I read for my Reading My January TBR. There are definitely other books on my January TBR that I did not get to, but we'll try and fit them into my Reading My February TBR, hopefully. And if not, we'll just add them back into the pile. They're still going to be on my Goodreads want to read, but we're slowly but surely getting through them, and I'm just having the best time. Not gonna lie, I filmed the outro when I was doing my Invisible Life of Addie LaRue review, but I completely forgot that I also read Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is my first ever book by Lauren Asher. I did end up listening to the audiobook for this book. I did end up using an Audible credit. I am going to give it 4 stars. I absolutely loved it. I loved both of our characters, and I loved the Latinx representation. I love that in books. It was definitely something that I needed to read right after The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but I think it kind of got lost in the sauce of my brain because I had just finished that one book that emotionally destroyed me, and then I knew I immediately needed something fluffy. So I picked this one up, and then I read it, I listened to it, and then I completely forgot that I read it when I was doing my review for the other book. But anyways, besides the point, yes, I love our characters Julian and Dahlia. Dahlia essentially is going back to this small town called Lake Wisteria because her engagement of a couple of years ended, and Julian is actually returning to Lake Wisteria for his nephew's, I believe, school concert thing, and he actually ends up hitting her car on the way there, and this is where they kind of reunite. I love loved how organic the meet cute was. They definitely have a bad history because Julian does reject her at some point in college. They are best friends to something more to then like long lost enemies, you could say, to lovers. Julian is also a billionaire, which I think is very important to note because there are a ton of scenes in here where he spoils our heroine and gives her his black Amex card. And you know what? We love that. I love the mental health representation in this book as well. Dahlia definitely is dealing with depression and she's also going through some getting pregnant issues. I don't know if fertility issues is kind of like the right word. She kind of finds out something about her body and how she cannot have kids safely. So definitely check your trigger warnings before going into this. And there is a trigger warning page in here as well. I really loved the writing. I loved the small town. I loved Dahlia. I loved being able to be like in her head and see the way that she thought and like the things that she was going through and how she was handling that. And I loved seeing her Latinx family come together and support her. And there are little things in here like culture wise that I definitely related to the Spanish speaking. I loved it so much. And then Julian is just your hot Latinx daddy, if you will. He is so fine. The things that come out of this man's mouth. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes. I will say I also really enjoyed that this did not have a third act breakup. And of course, it's a romance, so there was an HEA. So this was an overall feel good read. This might just be a little bit too long. And then the couple gets together. There are still conflicts, but they are kind of together. Not early on, but like halfway through the book, I guess. But there are definitely other things like in motion, outside things that affect the relationship and something that they have to work toward. And yeah, I just loved how protective and how protective Julian was and how he would literally do anything, spend millions of dollars for Dahlia, like, period. Yeah, it was just a really feel good read, and I'm glad that I finally read my first Lauren Asher book. With that being said, I am like not sure whether I'm going to be keeping this book because, again, it is part of my January TBR and it was chosen for me to read. And if I didn't like it, then I would possibly unhaul it. But I'm kind of iffy on this one, and I think this is the only one that I'm kind of iffy on in this reading vlog because it is a 4-star. I did love it. Do I see myself rereading this? Yes and no. I feel like if I were to reread this, it would be through audio again. I have purchased the audio book, so I'm going to have it forever. But there was no 5-star feeling. There wasn't this overwhelming like love for it. But I think I am going to unhaul it because I just don't need this copy. Even though it's so gorgeous, and even though it's the Barnes and Noble exclusive edition, which it says includes special content, which I'm guessing is the extended epilogue because I tried to find like different content, but the audio book has that extended epilogue. So anyway, this out the way. Also, the cover is really cute. You have like the raised design on here with like this sticker and like this patch right here, and it has the purple foiling. It's just such a pretty book. It's just such a pretty book that I'm kind of deciding whether I want to unhaul it or not, but I most likely will, which is kind of sad to say, but you know, we gotta push through, okay? We gotta push through. Speaking of the cover, it's very interior design focused because our heroine is also an interior designer and she had this TV show prior in her life. And then once her life kind of fell apart, she moved back to this small town and she still is an interior designer. And Julian does buy her multiple houses, okay, to design, and he buys them their dream home. This is all like a plot. And then at the end, he's like, no, this is our house. And she was like, Julian is definitely one of those thoughtful mans because, okay, safe to say, like, there were moments of this book that I was like giggling and kicking my feet. So I did have like that feeling. So, like, I think that's why it's also kind of hard for me to get rid of this book because it had so many things that I loved about it. So, you know what? I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about it. Okay. Don't hold me to it. Don't hold me to it. But he remembers about something that she said when they were kids because they are like childhood best friends. He remembered that she said that she had 3 wishes. What would they be? And one of them was to own this one specific house. And tell me why he fucking bought it a long time ago and he was going to sell it because he's trying to get over her. But then, you know, she came back into his life and he never ended up selling it. And so he went like half on half with Dahlia and like they both rebuilt it together. Stop it right now. And then he gifts it to her. It was so good. Like, he's a very thoughtful man, okay? And I loved him. He was giving, you know, let me take care of you. And I love that, okay? So, 4 stars. Like, I really did love it. Okay, I'm gonna shut up because at this point, like, I'm talking about how much I love it. I'm also trying to justify keeping this book, but we'll see. We'll see if I keep it. With that being said, I also really, really, truly loved Rafa and his kid. His kid has a condition, which I'm so intrigued about. I don't know how that's going to, like, play out, but also he has a nanny. nanny, which I felt like in this book we got kind of a little bit about how he feels about his nanny, but at the same time I don't know if she's the main heroine. And he's been hurt in the past. You know, he's a very broody single parent, and I think I might just love that one more, but we'll see. We'll see. I will definitely be continuing in the rest of this series. I don't know if on audio, which most likely on audio, but I do own the second book as well, Barnes& Noble exclusive edition. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm glad to have gotten Lauren Asher off of my new authors, never read before authors list. Anyways, that's it. Let's jump in to Past Me when I filmed the outro of this vlog. And yeah, you guys, 4 stars for Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know down below in the comments if you have read any of these books or if any of these books are on your TBR. I would love to know. Leave them down below in the comments. If you don't want to comment any of that, but you would like to let me know that you made it to the end of this video, then go ahead and leave me a sparkle emoji down below in the comments, of course, for The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.